All right, everyone. Please welcome a very special two guests on the podcast today, Kelly Kohlleffel from Fivetran and Naveen Punjabi from Google Cloud. I'm excited to talk with them both about entering the agentic age here, as we all have heard, I'm sure, if you're paying attention to the industry. This is the next big thing. It's already maybe here right now. We're going to find out a little bit more about it from these two folks. Kelly, of course, is the Senior Global Director for Partner Sales Engineering at Fivetran. He also hosts the Data Drip podcast, so I'd recommend everyone go ahead and look that up. I'm sure you can find it wherever podcasts are available. And Naveen is the Director of Analytics and Generative AI Partnerships with Google Cloud. Gentlemen, how are you both? Kelly, maybe I'll start with you. If you don't mind telling me a little bit about yourself, that would be great. And then Naveen, maybe we'll hear from you as well.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Really appreciate it. Kelly Kohlleffel, Fivetran. As Andrew said, partner sales engineering. But what I really enjoy doing is interacting with the data community. I go to a lot of events, and I've had the good fortune, I guess, over the last 2 or 3 years of building quite a few applications that now are in that agentic space. So it's a lot of fun. I do feel like I'm on the hot seat though, Andrew, because you mentioned the Fivetran data podcast, and I hosted one at HashMap as well. I feel more comfortable in your spot getting to ask the questions and having to come up with all the great answers here. But this will be a lot of fun. Looking forward to the conversation with you and Navi.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like I have the easy job today. So yeah, thanks for switching the tables on us for this one, Kelly. And then Naveen, thanks again for your time today. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about your background, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me. Naveen Punjabi, I lead our analytics and AI partnerships within Google Cloud, and I really enjoy being in front of customers, looking at the challenges that they've been running into, how they're thinking about scaling AI, fixing their data foundation, and how do partners in many ways play a role into that. So we have been in the forefront of this space for quite a while, and there's a lot of development happening, and looking forward to the conversation today between all of us.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited as well. I haven't had enough time on this podcast to cover this topic. I'm so interested in what's happening. It seems like everything is moving so quickly in the space. So, with that, let me jump right in here. And Kelly, maybe we'll start with you on this, and Naveen, love to hear what you have to add afterwards. Kelly, from your vantage point, what are you seeing customers doing with generative AI? I know I mentioned Agentic there, but I'm sure that'll come up. And, specifically, are they mostly experimenting with these like kind of co-pilots or productivity tools? Or are you starting to see them building enterprise applications using their own data?
Yeah, the transition from, kicking the tires. I remember even about 2 years ago when I would do a poll on a webinar or at a live event, I'd always have a question in there. Hey, is generative AI a passing fad? Of course, I do not have that in there anymore. We know it's not. Co-pilots, yeah, those are really an easy button, I think. You've got that is embedded into so many things, regardless of what cloud platform that you're on. I do see that really accelerating right now, and those are typically very fit for purpose co-pilots. And I think that I've seen a lot of productivity gains, organizations across industries using Gen AI, sales. Hey, let me get a better way of getting a corporate backgrounder put together. Let me, from a marketing standpoint, have an idea generator that I can kind of look and pick and choose from. Operations, maybe general training documentation, and certainly on the engineering side, coding acceleration. The A lot of the models that are out there, I mean, these are free to use. They can be really, really helpful against that general knowledge set of data. And I think that what's been most impactful for me personally is I talked about this recently. Is you think about productivity gains. Ooh, I gained 10, 20, 50% or more. I had some situations for me personally where Gen AI has unlocked for me productivity zero. Like I could not do something, many things that now I'm able to do. Personal example for me, I had never really used Python ever. I'd never built a Streamlit application ever. Streamlit, very popular data application environment. I was the epitome of productivity zero. I just didn't even do it. It wasn't, part of my job description, and so I didn't have to. But, we were talking about earlier building an MCP server. No, definitely had never done that before. But as we've gone through this process, talking about again productivity and even productivity zero to something that's really impactful, you hone your prompt engineering skills, you hone your, as everybody talks about, the vibe coding skills today. Um, all of us are getting better and better at this. And today I look back, I go, wow, I've built now well over 100 Streamlit applications interacting with all these different data sets across data and AI platforms, typically focused on solving a very specific business problem like QBR generation for sales teams or dynamic pricing for retail or freshman retention for higher ed. And, I see that and I go, obviously that's had a productivity impact. Part of your question was this private data side of things too. And that is an absolute transition I'm seeing right now where in order to really get the true value out of AI and certainly in this agentic space, I want to use my private enterprise data. I have to do that. So tremendous opportunity there right now. Really interested in Naveen's perspective on that as well.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head on that one, Kelly. We were on with a whole set of customers together just a few weeks ago. And I think my takeaway from that discussion with customers was co-pilots were the initial wave of experimentation that everybody was doing. But everybody is looking at where the puck is moving. And the real story is the shift to building apps that are grounded in enterprise data. I think everybody knows that's where the real value is. How do you think about leveraging the right technology as well as looking at change management within your own organization to make it happen is what everybody is going through. So we see clear examples of it from our end. We have customers who have been in many ways, Wendy's is a good example, using AI to really reimagine their drive-through experience and making ordering faster and accurate. So Discover doing the same thing, making agents available to all of their customer care agents. And how do you summarize documents quickly? How do you provide them assistance very quickly to improve resolution time? And I think what we will see over time is we'll be moving from a world of building individual apps to re-architecting the entire enterprise through an AI first approach. It's going to take time and it has to be rooted in enterprise data, but we will see that shift happening over the next few years. And I think every core process, whether it's supply chain management or financial forecasting, all of this will be orchestrated with AI. And for that, you need to leverage your own enterprise data.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I look at, if I'm a higher education institution, can I improve my freshman retention rate? Can I improve my tuition revenue protection? Can I identify quicker at-risk students who may want to matriculate out of my university and go somewhere else? I can do that, as you said, across every industry. There are, to me, hundreds of use cases, very, very specific, that we can definitely solve today in a really interesting way with private enterprise data, each of those individual use cases. But as you just said, what about if I've got these agents that are also able to communicate together and do the analysis, do the recommendation, kind of do the reasoning and decision-making processes back and forth to, again, achieve those kind of things. And it's going to be, I think, less about, it's certainly always on the productivity side is interesting, but less about that and more about true business value. What can we do there?
Well, and your team, you have beautifully here, Kelly, because I had this next question specifically about agentic AI. And Naveen, maybe we'll start with you for this one. So I know Kelly just did a nice segue there, but how far along are your customers in moving to this agentic AI era? And can you maybe dive into some of those use cases that are showing the most promise?
Yeah. We are seeing this actively across with our customers. I mean, it's the first wave, as I see it, where we are going from a world of generative to agentic AI. And as this represents a leap in my mind from content creation to more autonomous actions. We have customers who have been leveraging AI agents to resolve customer issues, for example. And I'll give an example of an online travel where we do have customers who are leveraging self-service AI agents to handle more than 50% of their customer queries in under a minute. So that's amazing productivity gain. And we are seeing the same thing with retail as well. But I think the second wave is about to come, and that's going to be a paradigm shift where it's not just going to be about deploying individual agents. And that's, I think Kelly mentioned it briefly, but it's going to be creating multiple agents and enabling orchestration in between these agents automatically. So this is where I think technology is available today in terms of MCP, agent to agent protocol. How do they talk to each other? But I think the adoption of these protocols is what will drive the next wave. And that's where we are. Everybody's looking at it as to how do I make that happen? And you would very quickly see a workforce of specialized agents that will collaborate with each other to run a business autonomously. We are getting there quickly. And I'll give an example. I think we had a customer scenario where we were talking to where, as think about a customer service agent who's resolving an issue autonomously and then signals a logistic agent to say, okay, I've resolved this customer issue. This customer needs a replacement part delivered. And the logistic agent goes ahead and orders that part. And then the logistic agent then communicates to the finance agent to say, make the payment happen. We already have the credit card within, the person doesn't need to click it anymore. The consent was already given in the call. So I think that orchestration and the simplification will make it very easy. And for the customer in the end, it's going to be such a seamless experience of not having to drive 10 actions. Maybe a conversation does it, and that's the end of that. So
Right.
I think we'll get there quickly. It's the first wave where everybody is building agents now. Then they're going to be talking about how do I build multiple agents and have them speak. And as we speak, there is already innovation happening within what we call as platforms of customer engagement today. You look at ServiceNow, you look at Salesforce, you look at Workday. Each one of them is already enabling agents within their own platform. So there are agents getting built within the enterprise, and there are agents getting built in the platforms that these customers use. So interaction between them is about to happen very, very quickly.
Naveen, as you were talking, I was just thinking some of the agents that I've been building recently, there's this decision-making process that I'm going through. For instance, I've got one I call Care Pathway, which is quality and safety surveillance for healthcare, monitoring clinical data for safety events and quality indicators. And when I look at an individual agent, that individual agent today, I try to avoid trying to do too much, but I have this incredible wealth of out of the box tools. That agent can be a patient analyst, a clinical care data analyst, a patient risk. Like I have these tools that I can plug into that agent. I've got search services. Maybe I have I don't know, an ROI calculator or a risk trajectory analyzer. It's like I don't want to try to ask this agent to do too much. But at the same time, the whole agent to agent communication side of things, I mean, that's where we're going to see so much advancement, I think, over the next 12 months. So right now, I think I'm probably building maybe a little bit too much, asking a little bit too much of individual agents as the A to A side matures.
Well, that's so exciting to hear this stuff. I got to be honest with you because it is shocking how fast this is going, and I can't wait to see all of the capabilities this unlocks in the very near future. It sounds like, but I want to take a step back here, and Kelly, we'll go to you for this one because in order to achieve all of this, I think it's very important to start with good data, right? So let me ask because leaders often talk about good enough data versus waiting for perfection. And so, from your perspective, what are the biggest mistakes to avoid when preparing data for generative and agentic AI? And maybe you can list a couple best practices that you found your customers that have been able to scale.
Yeah, there's so much here, and so many different paths you go down probably with that question, Andrew. And I I really feel like I say it a little bit flippantly sometimes. Hey, what does Fivetran do differently for Gen AI or for Agentic AI? Nothing. You need the same high quality, trusted, usable data for any data workload. That's what Fivetran does. And what I mean by that is that you're the value that you can unlock in your organization for any data workload is absolutely tied to that data side. And I think it's tough because I mean we've struggled with this for a long time. I go back to Hadoop days. I go back to many days even before that, and trying to unlock value for data from data is not new. These some of these workloads are new, but I think it goes back to what I talked about earlier. If we can take a solvable business problem where using models, using generative AI, and using agentic AI is actually rewarded, like there's things that you can do with those technologies you fundamentally cannot do with a database. It just doesn't work. There's no creativity with a database. I mean, it is going to give you the answer that you want, and that's great in some cases. But there are cases where I would like to have all of these inputs and analysts and search capabilities and custom tools interacting to come up with something that there's no way you'd ever do that in a database. So where are those first? And do you have an architecture? Do you have data sets that are sitting there that allow me to deliver something of value relatively quickly? I feel like that in data programs today, the longer we wait, the less relevant I become, you become, everybody becomes less relevant the longer you wait. So, 2 more weeks, let me kick this can down the road. Let me let this thing mature or that thing mature. Naveen mentioned it a while ago. I mean, we've got some, just in this last 3 years, some really interesting, mature enough technologies for sure that allow you to have, I think, an oversized impact with AI. Can I impact in healthcare, like I talked about, patient outcomes, or if I'm in agriculture, my trajectory on livestock health or churn prevention or guest experience for hospitality, those kind of things. To do that, I do need to keep things as simple as I can. I know we're probably not going to dive off into platforms versus build your own today, but I'm a big fan that I think platforms can give me some simplicity that I just don't have to deal with the architecture side. I don't have to deal with complexity and brittleness. I can deliver faster. I've got reliability and scalability and sustainability. Those are things too from a Fivetran perspective when you're looking at the data acquisition side that are really important. Not to mention, obviously, once things flow into Google Cloud and I start using all of those services. So for me, data acquisition, find a data set that you trust, that you know, that you can get started with an impactful application. Work with that, start incrementally, and get rolling today. Do not wait anymore.
Yeah, and I'll plus one to that one because I think in the era that we are in right now, data isn't a static asset, right? It's never been a static asset, and it's more important now. So waiting for data perfection in some sense is a trap. Like you don't want to ignore data quality, but hey, waiting for let me get the right data and then I will do it. The data volumes itself are moving at such a fast pace, you'll never get there. And I think what is really important is a shift that I am seeing as well is, and many customers don't realize it, is like AI is now getting embedded in terms of every tool they use, whether it's in the process of being leveraging tools for data ingestion, improving data quality, governing the data. AI is getting baked into each of these processes when you use Fivetran or when you use Google Cloud. It is coming to you. You don't realize it, but there's a lot of work that is happening because of AI. So the way I see it is you need to get the data right for AI, but then there is AI for data happening at the same time, and you're getting the benefit of both.
That's excellent. No, and I think that's a very valid point there because you can use some of these tools to help you prepare that data so that you can, achieve what you want down the line. That's excellent.
And
And
Andrew, I was just going to mention too. I mean, I think I don't know that you find anybody that would say, "Hey, I've got BigQuery or Google Cloud Storage or Vertex AI sitting out there. Oh, on my own as an individual company, I'm not talking about Google Cloud's competitors, but as an individual, for-profit enterprise or non-for-profit, I can go build that better today. Would anybody really think they can do that? Absolutely not. You'd be insane. You got thousands of customers using those platforms. I mean, Google knows how to do that. And I think the same way you go, hey, and kind of to Naveen's point with all these data sets, I can kind of do this myself. And the design, the build, the test, deploy, all the steps that you have to go through to make that work. You don't have to do that data acquisition, data movement side anymore either. So it's definitely something we can talk further about. That problem is solved. And so if both those problems are solved, the data acquisition, data movement, the transformation side, all the compute, all the storage, the GenAI, AI, agentic technologies, then I can focus more on my downstream so much faster, so much quicker, and I don't have to worry about this brittleness aspect all the way through the process.
Well, that's fantastic as well. And you actually beat me to my next question there. I think you just covered what I was going to ask you about that. So I'll skip ahead to my last question for us today. And I'm going to ask you to kind of maybe take a look into the future, if you can, into your crystal ball. And as you look across your customers, what excites you most about where this space is headed? I know you probably touched on it in different various forms on this podcast already. But let me double down by asking you if there's an industry specific solution that you think will outpace the general purpose approaches as well. So two-headed question for you there.
Yeah, what excites me most in my mind is the convergence of AI, generative AI, if you want to put it, agentic AI, with deep industry knowledge. I think
Mhm.
that's where the future is going to be a not just multi-agent system, but industry-specific agent ecosystems. I think that's where we are headed. We have customers like Bear who are using Google Cloud to build AI agents specifically for radiologists. And that wouldn't happen. It's not a generic chatbot. It's a very specialized tool that understands that data, the workflows of radiology. And I think those are the things that will unlock real value to the customers, to the economy. So I do believe when we think about generative AI, agentic AI, where is it's going to be, the future is going to be a hybrid of both. You need the power and the scalability of general purpose models. It's frontier models are really good at bringing that capability to you, and then you unlock value on top of that with very fine-tuned industry-specific data and workflows. And I think that's the super sweet combination, which is why this partnership is great, because Fivetran provides that universal data fabric for enterprise data, and Google Cloud brings in that open AI platform to make this a reality for our customers. I'll let Kelly chime in on as well, but that gets me most excited here.
Yeah, Naveen, same for me. I was thinking about just recently, I had done a value engineering workshop with a healthcare firm, large hospital system. It's probably about 10 years ago. So, believe it or not, 10 years does not date me. I'd have to go back way longer than that. That sounds like just a blip in time. But as we did an all-day workshop, and I led the workshop, and the whole focus was on really identifying data-driven use cases that we could group by organizational impact and risk and time to deliver. And we came up with some really, I thought at the time, great focus areas. Outcomes analysis, vital sign trending, connecting clinical notes to the case, post-op imaging analysis, all kinds of, even marketing, like face of the marketing org for the healthcare institution. Great ideas that the hospital system put together, great use cases. Everybody got up, we're everybody feeling good, but the ideas didn't go anywhere. I mean, literally nothing happened. And I think part of it was not just so difficult at that time to acquire the data and move the data. It was honestly really difficult to do anything with the data, even if you could acquire the data. I needed specialized skills. Give me some Java Scala. I don't know where those guys are. They don't live around here. Specialized teams, specialized tooling, very few could use. Um, and more importantly, how do I get to that organizational value? And so if I skip ahead to today, talk about what excites me the most, what if I told you, anybody listening in on this, that you could give Naveen and I an industry and a use case, and within 2 hours, we could have a working Gen AI agentic prototype application built using 4 agentic workflows. And of course, it'd be a representative synthetic data set using trusted data that Fivetran moved into GCS or moved into BigQuery, working with Vertex AI function calls, driving really interesting, meaningful agentic workflows. Again, as a prototype. All of a sudden, those 8 use cases that when I worked with that hospital system, I'm able to go from, oh, this is wonderful talk, to, oh, let's actually see how this would work in practicality. And of course, the next question would have been, if I could have done that at the time, well, how do I do that with my data? Kelly, you're using a synthetic data set here. I want to do that with my data and get this going. So I think for me, that's kind of a long-winded answer to say the pace, the speed that we can operate to showcase the art of the possible, literally end to end, that's more exciting to me than anything else. And I think to Naveen's point, it has to be domain specific, solve a problem, help me drive true business value.
No, this is fantastic. We see the same as well, and I think we will continue to see how we are able to move faster with customers. When we were talking with our customers with Kelly, they all had mm, hundreds and if not thousands of use cases already in mind. So in many ways, technology is enabling us to validate those use cases fairly quickly, because in the end, each of these organizations have to qualify the use cases, prove ROI as well. And what was really interesting to me is all of these organizations, when they think about bringing AI into their enterprise, they're already thinking about what would it take. It would take us for us to think about identifying those use cases, rationalizing those use cases, and they have governing councils within their organizations now to say, this, let's go ahead with this. And that's fantastic, because I think it allows not just technology to help them move faster, but also them then saying, okay, I've tried 10 use cases. Let me go to the next 10. Let me go to the next 10.
Yeah, and you can do that so fast if your mindset is not, hey, let me build this massive AI architectural cathedral thing that, I'm bringing in all these fit for purpose products and everything. No, you've got an incredible platform opportunity here that you can test this out. Look, if it's not fit for purpose for you, fine. It's not like you spent 6 months building this out, right? And so I think again that ability, when you're talking about the acceleration that cloud services gave us to not have to build out all this infrastructure. Nobody ever asked me for that anymore, by the way. Oh, give me infrastructure. No, you don't. Nobody wants that. Now this same thing where cloud gave us this acceleration, I can apply that directly to all of these AI use cases. And I agree with Naveen. Hundreds, if not thousands, of use cases in large organizations.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for your time today. Before I let you go, if someone listens or watches this and is interested in potentially reaching out, can you direct them to the best place to get in contact with you? Maybe Kelly, will start with you for that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Andrew. Interacting with the data community, just ping me on LinkedIn. Connect with me there. You will not find too many Kelly Kohlleffels out there. I should be the only one on LinkedIn. Easy to find with Fivetran, and look forward to connecting with you.
And then
Yeah.
Naveen, if you don't mind.
Likewise, LinkedIn is the best place to reach out to me. I would say I'm not I would like to be as easily foundable as Kelly, but I'm not. So just when you do the lookup of Naveen Punjabi, just add Google right next to it, and that'll make it easier.
Terrific. Well, Kelly, Naveen, again, thank you so much for your time. This was a fantastic conversation. I know I learned a lot. I am sure my audience did as well. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Naveen. A lot of fun.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Andrew. Thanks, Kelly.
To subscribe to the Speaking of Data podcast or to learn more about TDWI's research and training on all things data management and analytics, visit tdwi.org or click the link in the description below. Thanks for tuning in.